following program brought to you by the Grill Master. Welcome to the show, Backyard Grilling with the Grill Master. This is my backyard, and I am the Grill Master. I'm excited for today's show. Doing a little different. We're going to kind of steer away from the grill a little bit, but we're still going to be out here, and we're going to be doing two recipes. One I'm going to do on a Dutch oven, and the other I'm going to do in a cast iron skillet. I'm excited because, you know, I love cooking with cast iron. They're very dependable. They hold their heat really well. It doesn't take a lot of fire to keep them hot. They're easy to clean. Just something about it, the flavor of the food, just, I don't know. So today, that's what we're going to be doing. First, we're going to be doing a Dutch oven. I'm going to do a simple chili recipe that you can do at home, and it's very, very flavorful. Of course, we use genuine Texas beef, Cargill. I tell you, when I do things, I always use Cargill genuine Texas beef. And we're just going to take some chili meat here, about 3 pounds or so, and we're going to take just going to have some onions, just a cut up onion, and we're going to put some chili powder, some dried oregano, some ground cumin, a little bit of garlic, and this rotel. And look, it's already chili fixins. It's already ready. It's for your chili right here. The Rotel brand, just get a couple of those, and we're gonna put them in there. And then I've taken some black beans and some pinto beans. I took 2 cans of pinto beans and 1 can of black bean, and I took them out of the cans and I put them in a get them, what's that word I'm looking for? I don't know what you call it, but anyway, a strainer. There you go. But you'll just put these in a strainer and just get them washed off, get them rinsed off, and just put them in your right here, and you're ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these onions and take a little bit of this, not all of it, but we're going to take some of this onion and some of this garlic. We're going to go over to our Dutch oven. We're going to put a little olive oil in there, and we're going to start sauteing them. All right, here's our Dutch oven. It's I think it's a 6-quart, 12-inch deep. And I've got some olive oil I put in there, and we're going to take about a couple of cloves of garlic minced, and then we're going to take maybe I've got about 1.5 onions here, so I'm going to put about maybe 1 onion in there. You know, all this is for your flavor. Add more, less. I like cutting them like this for the fact that some people don't like onion. They can just, you know, once it's cooked, they can pick it out with their fork or whatever. But I like onion, so it doesn't bother me. But I think it's just, for whatever reason, you can let me get my spoon here. Lower my temperature just a little bit. I'm telling you, once these Dutch ovens or this cast iron skillets, once they get hot, they're hot, and they keep their heat really well. So that's a good thing about them. You know, I've been using these a long time. A well-seasoned one, you can tell because it's really dark on the inside and shiny, and that's just the seasoning in it. You know, just like I said, just you know, I've seen some of these that are like rusted, and they're kind of like, they look like you want to throw them away. But I tell you what, I've taken a couple of, I took 1 Dutch oven and 2 Dutch ovens and a cast iron skillet that people were like ready to throw them away. I'm like, it's all right, I'll take care of it. Brought them home. I washed them, scrubbed them real well with that wire scrubber. Really put a good scrubbing on it. put some water in it, get it on, put it on my stove, and got that water real hot, let it boil and stuff, and then when it cooled down a little bit, then I got that wire scrubber again and scrubbed it real good. And now one thing, like if you have if you run across something like that, and the seasoning part, I'll tell you what you can do also, which is what I did, is once I had it all, I put it on the fire and got it dry, and then I let it cool down, and then I put just a little coating of oil. I just took a little rag, little paper towel, put some olive oil on there and just wiped it down. Then I took some a cookie sheet and put some paper towels on it and put it in the oven. And then I took that Dutch oven, I turned it upside down and put it in the next rack on top, and I turned that heat up on that oven. And that right there really helped out in seasoning that Dutch oven. I don't remember how long it took. I'm not gonna tell you how long, because I can't remember. I think I put it at 350 degrees though. I mean, I had it hot. And then once it got really warm, and it might get smoky, but that's just the oil in it, in the oven, and then I turned it off. I left it in there and I let it cool down, and then once it was cool, I took it out, and again I took another little paper towel, put some olive oil in there, and put another little light coat on it. And one thing you might want to do, I do it all the time, is, you know, this is our lid, it's going to go on there obviously, but once we're ready, I take paper towels and I set them on top of here and put that lid on there. And what that does, it helps grab the moisture. If there's any moisture in the inside the Dutch oven, that'll help it. Might turn this up a little bit, but they're almost ready. The onions are almost ready. But anyway, that paper towel helps absorb any moisture that's in there. That kind of keeps it from rusting or whatever. If you don't use them that often, you know, that can happen. But you know, even if it does, like I said, don't worry about it. You put that fire on it and get that oil and just wipe it on there, and they're ready to go. I promise you, nothing bad will happen if done correctly. So anyway, those onions and garlic is well sauteed, and we're just going to take this chili meat and then just put it right in there. Oh. Okay. I wasn't sure if it had some of these meat packages that have that little paper deal underneath. I wasn't sure if this one had one or not, so I was checking for that. But we're gonna put 3 packages in there. Like I said, about 3 or 4 pounds or so. That's what this recipe is. And then we'll just take some salt. We're going to season this meat. Let it brown. So we'll take our salt and we'll season our chili meat. 3 packages there, so we'll take a little bit of salt and kind of mix it up in there. The onions and the garlic. Now again, you just add salt to it, and then remember, you can always add to it and you can't take away, so just put what you think you need, and then once it starts cooking, you can take a little taste and you can tell if it needs any more salt or not. So and then if you think it might need a little bit of oil, you can add some if you want. I think it's doing all right there. Then you take on the ground cumin, probably about 1.5 teaspoons or so. Again, this is about 3 or 4 pounds, so about 1.5 teaspoons. And then we're going to take some oregano, same thing, about 1.5 teaspoons. or a teaspoon, something to that effect. And then the chili powder. Now the chili powder, you know, that's up to you and your flavoring. Now what I usually do is just put enough to cover the meat on top there, and then I mix it up. Let's give it a roll here. Oh yeah, starting to smell good already. Smell-o-vision, taste-o-vision. So once you get this kind of stirred up, you've got your chili powder measured out enough. I think that's looking really good. Again, you just take a couple of cans of this Rotel chili fixings. Just like that. Put that in there. And get this next one. Same thing. Now I've drained mine. There's not a whole lot of liquid in there, but I went ahead and just kind of drained it a little bit. And reason being is because that chili is going to make a good juice in it, and you don't want it too watery. So we'll kind of stir this Rotel chili fixings mix in here with the chili meat, and then last thing you do is take one of these bottles of water and put it in there, half first. Give it a nice little stir. And then add the other half. And then, now we've had this on high heat. I turned that heat back up. Forgot to tell you there before, when I put that meat in there, turn that heat back up. Now we're going to let this start boiling. We're going to leave it on high, and it'll start boiling here in a little bit, in a few minutes. And then once it starts boiling, I'll probably give it another little stir, and then I'm going to turn it down to simmer. Then I'm going to take my lid, I'm going to put it on there, I'm going to let it cook. You know, and that's one good thing about the chili, because once you get it there, and all you gotta do is let it cook by itself. You don't have to be stirring, you have to be turning, you have to nothing. So like I said, we got it on high heat. As soon as it starts boiling, then we're going to turn it down to simmer, put our lid on it, and set it aside. And then I've got another real good recipe for our cast iron skillet that I'm really excited about. All right, now for this recipe, our cast iron skillet, what I've done is I've taken 4 sirloin pork chops, of course farmland pork, that's all I use, and I've got them soaking in milk. Don't have to be long, about half a cup of milk or so, and then just put the pork chops in there, let them soak for about 15 minutes or so. And while that's going on, what I've done is I've taken about a cup of wheat germ and a cup of wheat flour, whole wheat flour, and then just put it in my pan here and mixed it up here. And what we're going to do is, once these chops have soaked, like I said, about 15 minutes or so in that milk, we're going to take them out. We're going to season them with some salt and some black pepper and some right over here, some Cholula hot sauce. And you know, the Cholula hot sauce will be to your flavor. This is going to be a kind of a spicy recipe, so you'll do the Cholula hot sauce on those chops, and then once we get them seasoned, we're going to drug them through the flour here and just kind of turn them over. We have our cast iron skillet. We're going to put our oil in there and get it hot, and then we're going to put the pork chops in there and let them brown. We're not going to cook them thoroughly, we're just going to let them brown real good. We're going to take them out, and then we're going to add some onions and serrano pepper, and we're going to saute that. And then we're going to make a sauce, which is half a cup of water, half a cup of milk, and half a cup of white wine. And we're going to take about a tablespoon or 2 of whole wheat flour. We're gonna put it in our pan, and then we're gonna start adding this little by little. We're gonna stir it till it thickens up. Then once that's done, we're gonna take those pork chops and we're gonna add them to that pan and get it covered up and let them cook. And in the meanwhile, while they're cooking, we're gonna take some pears. These are comis pears. It's probably right now the best pear in the season, and they're pretty sweet. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna cut them this way to make rounds, and about 5 minutes before the chops get finished cooking, we're gonna take some of those pear rounds and put it on top of that pork chop. Okay, and then once we get that, once they finish cooking, then we'll just take them out and they'll be ready to serve. So to start off with, we're gonna get our cast iron skillet and get it on our burner over here. All right, there's a couple of things I did. One was I checked on the chili. It's coming along really well, and I added the beans. Now the beans, they're in the can, so they're already cooked. So all you need to do is just put them in there so they can warm up and get some flavor into the chili. Another thing too, with that Dutch oven, I know we're out here in the backyard and stuff, but if you can use it on your stovetop. You can put it in on top of your fire. That's the great thing about cast iron. You can use direct fire on this and it's not gonna hurt it. But anyway, so we got that ready, going. Won't be long before that's done. Now here we've got our cast iron skillet. I put about half a cup of olive oil in here. And what I did was I took just a pinch of this flour mix and put it in there, and it starts boiling, so it's getting hot enough. You know, I took those pork chops out, I seasoned them with salt, pepper, and that Cholula hot sauce. Now we're just gonna put them in here and let them brown. Okay, we're not gonna cook them, we're gonna brown them. My cast iron skillet ain't almost big enough. But we'll have this on high heat. Like I said, we're just gonna let them brown a little bit. Because this is no good, I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm gonna wipe this down real quick and throw that flour away. So when these pork chops are browned on both sides, I'm gonna take them out. I'm just gonna put them back here in this pan. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's not gonna, you know. So let me do that real quick. All right, like I said, you know, you can use this. I use my saucepan, but you can put it in a bowl or whatever. Half a cup of water, half a cup of white wine, half a cup of milk, and then just whisk it together. You can get a spoon and spoon it together, whatever. But this right here, once we remove the chops from the cast iron skillet, then we're gonna add the onions and the garlic and the serrano peppers, and we're gonna saute them, and then we're gonna take this, take a couple of tablespoons of that whole wheat flour and put it in there. Take this and start adding it little by little, making a gravy. Lower your heat, you know, while you do that a little bit to like medium or so, and then just start stirring until you find the thickness. Then once we get that done, we'll put the chops back on there, let them finish cooking, and then before we get done, we'll take those pears, slice them, and we'll just set them on. And we're not going to peel them or anything, just the way they are. We'll cut them, we'll set them on top of those chops. Tell you what, that's going to be delicioso. Okay, so we've got our chops out, and we've added just I took one serrano pepper, chopped it up, put it in here, and I took about ooh, that serrano's good. I like. And we put about oh my. We put about half an onion in there or so, and just let them saute for a little bit. Again, if we need to, we're gonna add a little bit of olive oil if we have to, but I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Like I said here, saute them a little bit. Then we're gonna take the whole wheat flour, a couple of tablespoons or so. Put it in there, and then we're gonna take our mix and add it a little at a time. Yeah. That's looking real good. Smell-o-vision, taste-o-vision. I'm sorry about earlier, folks. I just kind of, that pepper kind of, wind came at me and caught me in there, but doing okay. We've turned our fire down to about medium. We're gonna let it cook this alcohol out of that white wine. Get a good consistency here. You might not use the whole mixture, but you gotta make sure you got enough. And if you really want to make a real good thick gravy that's gonna be all over those chops, you can add some more flour, like I am. Maybe another couple of tablespoons, and then add some more of that sauce there. I lowered it just a little too much. There it is. That wind plays with that fire a little bit, so you don't want to have that gravy too thick. You want kind of runny consistency. Yeah, looking real good. So now we're just gonna take our chops and we're just gonna set them back in there. Look at there. Ooh. Oh yeah. Tell you what. And then we're gonna put our lid on and just let them cook. I'm gonna get our pears, cut them up. Get them ready for the last part of the cooking. Well, there you have it, folks. Dutch oven, cast iron skillet, chili and beans, pork chops. I'll tell you what, I love my cast iron skillet, my Dutch ovens, my cast iron skillets. I mean, there's just not enough that I can say about all this. But I'll tell you, if you have some, I hope you're using them, because that food is just unbelievable to me when you're cooked in this. I love cooking in these all the time. Now, one thing, again, with this Dutch oven, you can do it on top of your stove. You can just set it on top of your burner there and crank it on and cook it in there. It's not a problem. Same thing with your cast iron skillet. We can do this over an open fire. We can do this over some hot coals. Just gonna have to keep them hot all the time to keep that temperature up to where you need it. But anyway, this chili simply looks amazing. Now again, we cooked that chili. Look at there. We cooked that chili, and then at the end we put the beans in. Remember, because those beans are already cooked. Ready to go. Can't beat it. Nice texture, color, smell. Woo! Tell you what, that's just awesome right there. And of course, our pork chops, same difference. Look at there. Tell you what, just can't beat it. I'm gonna take one of these chops right here. I think this is the prettiest one. Serve it right up on this plate here, and just take some of that nice gravy with the onions and the peppers, and just, I tell you what, wow, like my mom would say. Yes, sir. I tell you what, and it's easy. It's not hard. Just takes a little time on this one here. Now the Dutch oven, of course, on the chili. Took a little longer to cook, but it was real easy. Everything, all the ingredients, it's just all simple. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed, watching cooking on some Dutch oven and cast iron skillets. We're going to be doing a little bit more of that here in the near future. Like I said, I'm still working with a friend of mine to have him come on our show. He's an award-winning chuck wagon cook, and they're on most of their competitions. They do chicken fried steaks and home fried potatoes and things like that, and I'm gonna have him come in here and show us how he does his chicken fried steaks. I tell you what, they're out of this world. I've tried them before. They're really good. But I hope you all have had a great year. I hope you have a more blessed new year, you and your family. And I tell you what, there's just can't say enough words to express my thanks to everyone and their support. I really can. It's just been wonderful. It's been a great experience, and I hope it continues for a long time. So without further ado, this chili just looks mira, and as my dad would say, listo. Backyard Grilling with the Grill Master, brought to you by these proud sponsors.